Hello everybody and welcome to the Fan Forum. You can see behind me we're going to Wembley and Manchester United are into the final of the Carabao Cup against Newcastle at the end of February. We all cannot wait and yeah, that game just settled it, but I'm here joined with Faz, Kev and Ricky breaking the game down, maybe who we want to play in the final, considering we've got quite a few members of the squad back playing very well as well. And Erik ten Hag just keeps impressing game after game. A brilliant performance in the end. A little bit of a slow first half, but got really into it in the second half when the subs came on. And yeah, Wembley is the next destination for Erik ten Hag in the Cup, and we couldn't be more excited about it. But Faz, I'll start with you. First of all, when you saw that team come out, did you think, maybe it's a little bit too strong, but Erik ten Hag, he wants to get to a final, he wants to win, and fair enough to him. Well,
even though we could sit here and say it was a bit too strong, you saw the first half, even with a strong team, we didn't look like we were going to score until the stronger players came on. And this is a testament to what he said prior. He said, we must keep momentum. The game starts at 0-0. It doesn't start at 3-0 to us. So we must keep the players fresh and make sure that they're sharp. So I think going forward, I've kind of understood that we're not seeing much of a rotation. He's very stubborn with his selection, and he's always going to pick his strong side.
Yeah, exactly. He wants to win every single game. He said going into this game, he sees it as 0-0. You saw he brought Rashford off the bench, he brought Martial and Sancho, who needed some game time, but I was surprised when Rashford came on. I thought, he really wants to go and win this game, even though we're going to go through anyway, and I like that kind of mentality. Kev, you got a song to sing for us?
Wembley! Wembley!
You've been waiting
Love
to
it, yeah. I've got it out of my system now.
Were you impressed? I mean, Martinez, Varane, full strength. He wanted to go for it, didn't he?
I was surprised when I seen the team. I must say it filled me with a bit more confidence. Obviously, Heaton in net, you kind of look and go, ooh, you know, don't know what to make of this. But look at the four players that he had in front of him, and I look at that and think, bloody hell, we're set up nicely here. Casemiro, who we've discussed previously, I did say he strikes me as the kind of guy who needs to be in his groove. We would miss him heavily. You know, against Arsenal, we missed him absolutely big time. It's been a bit of a, with the Eriksen news this week, the injury, if anything, you look at the team for a reaction. I think we will struggle slightly in that area, probably something we'll touch on later on. But listen, the Carabao Cup, it's not the most prestigious trophy. I'm sure there'll be rival fans trying to jump in the chat and saying, look at these United fans, standards have dropped at Old Trafford. They haven't dropped at Manchester United. This is an opportunity to go and, as a collective, this group of players, to win this first trophy under Erik ten Hag. Jose Mourinho took it seriously. At Chelsea, was it the first trophy he won? Same with Guardiola.
A couple, I think it was Mourinho and Pep won it and then the year after they won the league, so.
Yeah, there you go. So if it's going to work like that, then I'll have a bit of that. But like I say, it isn't a prestigious trophy, but I think as a group of players, yes, Casemiro, Varane, we've got players that have been there, done it, won the big honours, but for Manchester United, it is a big thing, because if we can win it, we can use this as a springboard. Under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, we were kind of the nearly men, semi-finalists. Yes, we lost the Europa League final, but it would be great. It's a day out at Wembley. Newcastle will be well up for it as well. Try telling any of them Newcastle fans that the Carabao Cup doesn't mean anything.
Well, yeah, Junior, welcome to the United Stand Members Club. Someone just asked in the chat who we played in the final. Are you lifting a cardboard box? We are playing Newcastle in the final. And on that, Ricky, how excited are you? A proper final, that Newcastle-Man United. It is Ten Hag continuing to impress you. You seem quite happy tonight.
I'm more than impressed. Unlike, I can't remember who said it, whether it was Faz or Kev there, about us putting a team out to make sure we got there. Even though he wouldn't agree with that, he wouldn't say this to you, he wouldn't admit it. I think that's the best word. He wouldn't admit it, but I think he knew we were already in that final. I think he's literally wanted to win that game to keep the momentum going of winning games. You know, obviously we could have got through to the final by losing 1-0 or 2-0, but I don't think he could have fielded a much weaker team and still got through. But he wanted to actually win the match, in my opinion, to build the momentum. It's now, you know, we had a great run, was it about 10 games on the bounce that we won?
Then
we drew at Palace, then we lost at Arsenal. And with that game tonight, I know it's only Forest twice in the League Cup, but Forest have turned the corner in the league a bit, you know. They're not too bad a side, and obviously we've played Reading in the FA Cup, so we've now got 3 games on the bounce. that we've won, and he wants to try and do another 10 games or something like that. That's his target. He wants to build momentum, and he thinks the best way about going about that is to field near as damn it a strong, the best team he can virtually every time they play.
Exactly, and then when you've got Sancho, Martial and Rashford to come off the bench, it's not too shabby either, is it?
It's very good, yeah.
It just shows like we have, obviously Eriksen's injury is so unfortunate, but we have got, because of how much he's improved certain players and the coaching that's gone into these players, it does seem like we do have options. Obviously in certain positions we have more options than others, but it's these last 3 games, to me personally watching it, just felt like job done. Like it felt like the whole game for these last 3 games that I knew that we were going to win the match, and that's credit to Erik ten Hag. It's become a lot more stable and consistent. I mean, Kev, compared to like last season or seasons in the past, the likes of the Nottingham Forest and the Readings, they've given us tough games. I remember Middlesbrough in the Cup and what a nightmare that was. Against the lower teams, and that's not trying to be disrespectful, we have struggled in the past. Erik ten Hag's got us playing now that even if he makes 1 or 2 changes, we look like the more dominant team, and we look like the team that is the bigger team, the better team, and it looks like a confident enough win, doesn't it?
Well, that's the difference with Ten Hag. Even at Ajax, he always had a sort of a nucleus, a spine of a team, and you've seen that today. We could still field Varane, Martinez, Casemiro. We had a spine to a team which is really strong, and like you say, Ricky, this is the kind of team, the momentum he wants to carry into each game. So yes, teams have given us problems in the past, but well, again, we've made 6 changes from the Reading game today. But again, you look at that team on paper and you think we've got, we always had a great chance of going through because it really was job done last week. That's the way I feel. I feel all the hard work was done last week. I said it at the time, the Bruno Fernandes goal was a huge goal because at 2-0, you still feel that Nottingham Forest, if they'd have come here this evening, got the first goal, crowd behind them, there might have been a bit of, the kind of jitters in the crowd, but Manchester United winning that game last week 3-0, it really was job done. And it was great to see other players coming in. But, the return of Jadon Sancho, I'm sure Ricky will touch on later on his favourite, the Martial coming back in. But we need these options. And the good thing is, which is different to previous seasons, you've got players that actually want to come in and play and impress. We can start Garnacho, who I thought was brilliant in the first half, getting to the byline, cutting the ball back, looked a constant threat. You've got players there now that actually want to play, want to be involved. They'll all want to be in that on the team sheet, end of February, end of this month, to be in the Carabao Cup final. Same with the league games. Everybody wants to be involved. Competition for places. Yeah,
we've got West Ham and Barca coming up as well. We've had some really good cup runs this year. But Faz, you know what? We'll get on to the big talking point of the evening. Now, I do want to touch on Martial and Weghorst in a little bit, and we'll get on to that. But I want to just start off with Sancho. You've been asking what Sancho's been cooking on these shows, but looks like Ten Hag's been cooking a little bit and trying him out in the inside right / number 10 role. Yep. He came on, he went on the wing a couple of times, but his main position seemed to be the number 10, and Bruno was playing on the right.
Yep.
And you know what? He looked confident, he looked sharp, his passing was neat, his touches were tidy. I thought he looked like he wanted to be on that pitch, he wanted to play football. I was really happy with the way he came on the pitch and played. What did you make of his performance?
In yesterday's show with Adam, I did predict that he was going to play in the 10 role, and I broke it down on the show as to why. Tactically, it makes sense to put Sancho in a 10 role because he's so good when it comes to tight spots and having players around him. You saw in the Nottingham Forest the way they set out, especially in the second half. You've got Bruno Fernandes, who's probably had one of the best games in a while, trying to create something in that middle centre of the pitch. But you saw in the first half, even though he was having such a good game, we didn't create much. So that's the concern here from a management perspective, from a tactical perspective. If you've got a player who's having the best game, who's playing that 10 position, not creating much of a chance, you push him to the right, you take Anthony off, you put Jadon Sancho in the middle, who's obviously going to be extremely eager. He's going to bring close control. He's going to bring tech, which you saw as well. He was very technically sound. And it also gives another option for Ten Hag to think as well. You have now Anthony on the right, Bruno on the right, Pellistri on the right, and possibly at times Jadon Sancho on the right. I want to see now if Jadon Sancho can maintain this going forward. That's the most important thing. We know we keep saying our best front three was Martial, Rashford and Sancho. But in terms of the front three, if you break it up now, you have a situation where Jadon Sancho is more of a versatile player. You need players who can play in numerous different positions, like Luke Shaw this season, like Casemiro, like Bruno, now Sancho. This is all, I like to call it, good headache for Ten Hag going forward.
Yo, it seems like Erik Ten Hag is trying to create that versatile type squad. I mean, Bruno's moved to the right a few times, and I've had a problem with it because I really like him at number 10. But I've got to say today, he's interlinking with Sancho, and Wan-Bissaka was getting in on it actually a little bit. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching that performance of Bruno and Sancho kind of alternating them roles. But Ricky, I mean, you're a big fan of Sancho, and like one thing that he has that I think players have it, but he has it of really high quality, is how good he is with the ball at his feet and in tight spaces, tight acute passes that you really like to see. Are you excited to see Sancho come back into the team? Has he got a place in his spot that he can win to get back into the starting 11?
I think so. Like you say, I like him in a big way. He's got really good, tight, close control, and at the same time, he plays with his head up and he sees the passes, he sees the short passes, and when he looks into the box, he doesn't just play aimlessly. He tries to play people, and he does some great interlinking between him and Martial, because Martial's got the same type of qualities as well. Keeps the ball close to his feet, and he plays with his head up and he sees the passes. So I was surprised. I heard Faz talking about the chance that he might start as a number 10 or come on as a number 10. But I've got to be honest, I was surprised when he came on that he didn't just go straight on the right wing, but he looked perfectly at home in that role. And I've got to say, Bruno, by the way, I've never seen him play as well.
Yeah, I wanted to get on to that. Everyone, listen to this. Ricky is loving Bruno's performance tonight.
I have never seen him play as well. Short pass after short pass after short pass. Hardly anything extravagant. I couldn't believe my eyes. To me, it's Forest in the League Cup and we're 3-0 up. Fair enough, but I've never seen him play better.
But his passing was
superb.
Disgustingly good.
Yeah.
Outside the boot to Luke Shaw, inside the boot to Garnacho. I mean, one thing that we kept criticising him is Hollywood passes. But today he did bring Hollywood passes that were actually
there
Hollywood.
was a Hollywood
and
pass
actually
tonight.
Bruno Fernandes. But the concern for me though is he's had such a good game, but we didn't manage to put the ball in the net.
Do you know what it is?
First half.
I didn't see him misplace one pass. With Bruno, usually you do see quite a lot of misplaced passes. I generally didn't see him misplace one. I mean, the linking up with Shaw, he was also linking up with Wan-Bissaka. He felt like he was absolutely everywhere on the pitch. I agree. I thought he was brilliant.
The pass
tonight,
for the goal.
Yeah, the pass
for
for
Fred's
the
goal
But
outside of the boot. Wow,
like you said, we'll get onto it in a second, but not having any goals in the first half. I do think them substitutions were a massive part of it. But we've got this super chat I wanted to read out from Alex Marman saying, notice how the introduction of Martial, Rashford and Sancho changed the game. We suddenly had pace, sharpness and looked better. Like your denim jacket, Beth. Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for that. We've also got a quote from Ten Hag coming from Bill Rice that is on the United Stand Twitter. Ten Hag said, it's not about reaching the final, it's about winning the final.
That's
and
my
that's
manager.
What we like to hear.
That's what I want to hear.
Yep.
Newcastle are a very tough game. We'll get onto that in a bit as well. I still think Ten Hag, I think he's going to win. I think he's going to win this cup. He seems really serious about it, and he just gives me confidence. Like the guy gives me confidence. But
Luke Shaw said a similar thing after the game. I listened to that, and he said the exact same thing. There's no point making the final unless you win it. You know, so obviously Erik Ten Hag is instilling that in his players if they're coming out with it as well, and that's great. That's what we want.
Absolutely.
Sorry, Beth.
It's okay. No, you're speaking facts, Kev.
Yes.
HKN Music says, Faz, say my striker's name. He means Martial, because you were giving Martial some stick, weren't you?
HKN Music, Tony Martial, English. Yeah, there you go. That's
Ed Woodward says, Martial stocks are rising. Yeah, do you know what it is? It's so annoying that he can't stay fit. But Ricky, I'll come to you on this one. Your favourite player, Anthony Martial. I was saying, like, people are giving Weghorst a lot of credit in. Fair enough, like he does some nice interlinking passes, holds the ball up well. But Martial, like you said before, you said it, he's different class. He's got a little bit more pace about him. He has a better turn. He has more technicality. He makes, for me, he just makes everything look so easy, and people don't appreciate it a lot of the time. I could see the difference when he came on. I mean, how hopeful are you that he's going to stay fit, and what impact can he have?
He'll have a massive impact if he can stay fit. I'm desperate for him to stay fit, and you can see the difference. But I wouldn't do down Weghorst too much, because he's, you know, Martial is an absolutely top quality player. The manager says that. The manager knows that. So it's no it's no slight against Weghorst that he's not as good as Anthony Martial. To me, Weghorst still had a really good game. I mean, you know, you were saying that we couldn't score in the first half. Unlucky with his header. Maybe he should have scored it, but he did it in the post with an header. You know, we were this close to scoring in the first half.
That's his best game at United.
And it would have been Weghorst. And some of his first touch passing, by the way, was different class. There was one ball played up to him on the halfway line in the first half with players around him, and first time we just laid it into space to his right hand side for Fred to run onto our left hand side. Some of his one-touch passing is really good. So I've got nothing against Weghorst whatsoever. But Anthony Martial is Anthony Martial.
Two totally different players, aren't they? The one thing you would say about Weghorst is that the man has no pace. Holding the ball up and that, fair enough. But when you bring a Martial into the mix and you try to compare them two players, there is no comparison really.
I mean, Ricky, if Martial would have been fit against Arsenal, could have been a different result, couldn't it? He has that much impact.
He does have that much impact, and it could have made the difference. But you know, we'll never know. Arsenal were great on the day and deserved to win, even though it was such a late goal. You can't really say they would have beaten Arsenal.
I hope he's fit for the final. I'll tell you that it'll be a massive.
I just hope he stays fit now until the final. There's no point in going out missing for a few games and then coming back for the final. I just love him to stay.
Needs a run of games.
I need him to stay fit right through.
He does.
And now that we've got Weghorst, by the way, the beauty of it is
no pressure.
Yeah, hopefully we can put some games to bed. I won't name any of the 2 games coming up because it makes it sound like you're going to win them easily, and it isn't like that. But if we can put some of the games to bed, say 2-0 after an hour or something, we've got a perfectly adequate replacement for him instead of having to move Marcus to number 9 or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
As well, yeah. Absolutely. I completely agree with you. It's good to actually have a little bit of depth in that area for sure. And SK says Garnacho and Anthony need time. That's why Bruno's creative passes didn't work too much with them. They do well, but they just need more end product and time playing with Weggy. Yeah, that's what I mean. I thought Garnacho, his directness and the way he took men on was brilliant. It's just that final little decision making, but I mean, he's a young player. And then with Anthony as well, he's got that in him. It's just that last end product, like, and I don't know, it just seems more fluid when the other players came on, but it's not putting the other players down. I just thought we just looked more fluid and they looked better playing together. But we saw in pre-season how good Martial and Sancho played with each other, so it's not really a surprise. But it's good to have the different options. But Faz, I mean, you're a big fan of Garnacho. What did you make of his performance? Because very direct again. Yeah,
first half he was our only outlet when it came to attacking. And it's kind of a great thing for him because I personally said he's more impactful when he comes off the bench rather than starting. But like a game like today where he didn't have any pressure, he didn't need to deliver anything spectacular, just see the game out, do as much as you can, and he did. And I was happy with him. I don't think he was as great as he's been in some other games, but nonetheless, he was very, very good.
Yeah, and just in on that, actually, Ten Hag just spoke to MUTV about Martial, and he said, we know what Anthony Martial can do when he's fit, and he isn't even fit yet, so imagine when he's played 10 games, I think you will see a totally different front line and a much better Martial. So the manager really likes him, like you said, Ricky, clearly, doesn't he?
He's a big fan. He's a big fan. He spoke glowingly about him after the Manchester derby, and I was fed up on the day, and a few times since, having to explain to people how important it was. Everybody thinks that it's purely about scoring goals, creating goals, making chances, which is a big part of the game. But when you're playing against a team like City, who have put 3, 4s and 5s past us, even 6 once, in the not too distant past, the most important target in that game was to reach 0-0 at half-time. And the manager even said it himself that Martial was really important in helping us do that. It was about defending well from the front that day. Getting to half-time, it's like a little island in the game. Let's reach that island at 0-0. And then that gives you that basis and a chance to win the game. We were dead lucky to win the game in the end, to be honest. Our first goal shouldn't have been a goal. And if they wouldn't have given that goal, we probably wouldn't have got the second goal either, which would have been the first goal. Yeah. That just wouldn't have happened. So we had a lot of luck to win it, but None of that would have happened if we'd have been 2 or 3-0 down at half-time.
Built a foundation, didn't
The
we?
foundation was built in the first half, defending well, and we made the best 2 or 3 chances in the first half as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as well, I've always noticed he seems to have good relationships with a lot of players. Like him and Rashford link really well. Him and Sancho work well in pre-season. Him and Bruno seem to have that relationship with each other. So, and that's a sign as well, I think, as a good player when he can play with different types of players and make them look better. So it's good. It's good that he's back fit and he's back in the squad and Sancho's back as well. I'm excited about it. I really, really am. And Leo J says, new boy debut soon. Ball control and has some skill. Are you guys excited? He's on about Sancho because he seems like a new signing, doesn't he? And Vernant Nut says, Faz, he's very quiet right now.
No, I'm just letting everybody speak.
I think I mean, Faz always wants the players to do well. He's like...
But he has to still get sold.
No.
Yeah.
Who was talking about here?
Anthony Martial.
You want him sold?
Yeah, in summertime, yeah.
Oh my God, Faz.
Yeah. We want to bring in a young midfielder. We want to bring in a new goalkeeper, and we want to bring in an out-and-out striker. And Anthony Martial's probability of him staying fit for one full season, I don't think you want to take that gamble if you're a gambling man. It's February now. We've got Barcelona to play. 3 days later, we've got a cup final. Let's see if he can stay all the way through. And then after that, we've got FA Cup coming, God willing. We've got,
so long as you're only talking
top
about the probability of him staying fit and not how good he is.
No, absolutely not. No, absolutely not.
I'm desperate for him to. No good if he isn't fit.
I'm in total agreement with you. The sheer level of quality that this player has. I'm mesmerised by how he plays, honestly. But if he can't stay fit, he's of no use to the organisation. That's just how simple it is.
And do you know what I was preparing for then? I thought this was going to be my Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank moment of the United stand. I was just ready for these two to start going at it. And me be sat here like that, just going...
No, it is a massive problem, the injuries, and it is so unfortunate. But it's one of them things, you were just going to have to see. It's one of them, like, we need a striker regardless, and you don't want to be carrying passengers when they can't play. But hopefully he can get fit, as Eric Ten Hag's said in them quotes.
Run of games is what it's all about. Like you say, you can judge him then, but...
He seemed hopeful that he can get him fit, so let's just wait and see. It does feel like this never-ending saga a little bit though, but positivity came out of it today. I mean, Kev, I'll come to you about obviously Anthony and the way he plays. Today I thought again, just a little bit sloppy, a little bit slow. Like, I'm not putting the guy down, he has some good moments, but you can still see you can see how important he is to Eric Ten Hag because of the system that he plays. He tracks back well and he holds his position well at times, but it's still got some adjusting to do, I think.
Yeah, hopefully that will come with time. Eric Ten Hag trusts him. He's spent a hell of a lot of money on him, so putting that trust in him, even to go to Manchester United and say, you know, I need this money to buy this player, they've shown a bit of trust in him as well. I thought he worked back quite well in the first half today. Defensive duties was all right. And again, it just seems to be the same kind of issues with Anthony. I don't want to go down the road of saying he's a one-trick pony, but it is becoming... You speak to a few United fans, and we've said it before, haven't we? His right foot's almost just for standing on, can't use it, you know what to expect. But again, it's just channeling that. He is good enough to be able to cut onto his left, and we've named players before, the likes of Robben, Mahrez at City. They're predominantly, you know, one-footed. It's how you are clever with that, whether you can cut that ball back. He had a shot in the first half, was it today? One of them, you know, where you thought the left hand bending it round. One that went over the bar, which was an absolute sort of sweetheart volley. Really caught that one. But again, I think it's just the same kind of issues at the minute. I don't think he needs to get up to speed because he's certainly got the pace for the Premier League. Maybe just final decision making.
Yeah,
I think that I would kind of mark him down on that at the minute. It seems to break down in the final third with Anthony, I think. Yeah,
I think it'll come in time, and people need to remember he's only 22 still, but it's good that we have options that now I'm hoping because Sancho's back and obviously Martial's back as well, and then front three spots to kind of anyone's to have now, and they've got to fight for him. So I'm hoping it's going to, you know, when you have competition, it brings out the best in other players. Anthony's going to see Sancho cut kind of on his tail, and he's like, oh, I need to step up my game. So hopefully it'll bring out a better side to him. And Asim Safaya says, folks, Josie did well in his first season. We should calm down and see how it goes next season. I believe in Erik ten Hag, but we need to have good owners next. We're at Wembley. Let us enjoy it. Let us enjoy it. And make no mistake, if we win the League Cup, I'll be celebrating it like it's the Champions League, everyone always says. But no, I will be celebrating it heavily because we've not had a trophy in a long time. But Ricky, Fred, 3 goals in 3 games.
Never.
Yeah. 3 goals in 3 games.
Amazing.
I mean, today was just a little bit of a tapping, but you still got to be in the position, don't you?
Yeah, you
I mean,
do,
Eriksen's injured, which I'm sure you're absolutely gutted about. But like you said, you're enjoying Fred a lot more under Erik ten Hag now. Do you trust him to come in and kind of play a bit more of a role now Eriksen's injured?
Well, I think it's very interesting that the manager's gone out and got a loan signing in for the rest of the season who can play that position. So I think even the manager, when I say even the manager, obviously the manager realises that he's not really the player to be playing. Obviously, you need a squad. I don't think Sabitza's going to be sat on the bench too much. I think Fred's going to be sat on the bench still. So we've got all these injuries, and the manager has decided that obviously he needs somebody else in there. So I think we'll find Sabitzer gets eased into the team. Whether he'll start on Saturday, I don't know. It might be a bit too soon. He's got to train with his teammates, get used to the system and the way they play and the set pieces and all sorts of stuff like that. So I don't think Sabitzer will start on Saturday, but maybe next Wednesday.
We spoke about squad depth, didn't we, recently? And we all sat here, touch wood, Casemiro don't get injured. And the sad thing is the Eriksen injury.
So
I mean,
sad.
that could literally... I don't want to be over-exaggerating or anything, but I mean, derail your season. He has been that good, Christian Eriksen.
He's played the most minutes for Manchester United.
Yeah. And, some people said, oh, he shouldn't have played, if he hadn't have played him, he wouldn't have got injured and that. Andy Carroll, for me, it was an absolute disgrace, the challenge that he put in on Christian Eriksen. He's been pivotal to a lot of good things that Manchester United have done. Again, Ten Hag trusts him, he's played him. We will have to see now how the season pans out. To be out until the end of April, he's going to miss some huge games that could defy our season.
Do you know what I noticed as well? Even though Eriksen got injured, and some would argue he shouldn't really still have been on the pitch in that Reading game when he did get injured, maybe we should have rotated a bit more. But do you know what? I think that's a bit unfair. It can happen at any time. Yeah. I was a little bit... I know Erik ten Hag likes to go strong, but he didn't stop him from picking a really strong team today. I mean, Varane, Martinez, Casemiro, his... top players, the top dogs were playing today, and it didn't faze him, which I quite like as well. He sticks to what he thinks is best, and he goes with what he thinks, which I think is important. But on to Sabitzer, a new signing that can come into the team. Faz, you're a big fan. Just kind of explain what you think he can bring, and do you think he'll get a place in the starting 11 quite quickly as well?
Firstly, with Sabitzer, one thing he's box to box, so he's blisteringly fast. He's very fit. His body shape, you can just see his height, his physique is built to be in the Premier League. On top of it, one thing that he will bring that Fred won't bring is an eye for pass right from deep that Eriksen has as well. And on top of it all, he's got such good shooting with both feet. This is something that Fred actually lacks. Fred's left foot is great, but Fred doesn't have a right foot, let's be honest. Whereas Sabitzer actually has a great right foot and a great left foot and really good free kicks and set pieces that I want. We've got Wout Weghorst, who hasn't yet managed to score a goal, let's say from a corner kick or something, and that's something that we want to go and get because you can get a bag of goals from them. For me, Sabitzer has to be kind of ready by the time we face Barcelona. Because in Barcelona, you're going to face the top upper echelon midfield in Europe. And in a game like that, you need someone physical, you need someone who can win the ball, you need someone, if they lose the ball, who's able to track back quick enough and then retrieve the ball. For example, let's say your defense, your Varane, Martinez, carry the ball a little bit, carry it well, and then distribute the ball as well. And if Martial stays fit, it's really looking good, because what Sabitzer is going to be able to do is find pockets of spaces where, because he's press resistant, half turn, receive the ball, half turn, and then bring in Martial. And Martial is so good on back to goal, he's going to receive the ball, give it to the likes of Rashford or maybe Anthony or Bruno, whatever, and you'll see lots of dangerous chances coming from there. So I'm very, very excited to the point where I actually want to keep him. I would want to keep him even past this loan period, because players like that don't come often. Bayern Munich don't get transfers wrong. They have a lot of competition in that midfield, and maybe he's not seeing minutes because of that. But rest assured, at 28 years old, he's very well polished. He's had good winning pedigrees. Comes from a really good, solid Bayern Munich team. I think this would work really well for Ten Hag.
Ten Hag wanted to sign him as well, didn't he? For Manchester United
Ten Hag
previously.
written all over it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But honestly, with Sabitzer, I have to say I'm singing from the same hymn sheet as you on that one. Everything you said, I agreed with. Like, when I was talking about Sabitzer, people were like, have you ever seen him play? I watch Champions League football. I've watched Leipzig a lot in the past. And Sabitzer, when you look at European football, Sabitzer's been a name that is quite prominent, actually. And people that watch European football will know about him. And he is that kind of Fred Eriksen hybrid that is going to, I think, come into this team and maybe shock a few people that don't know much about him, how good he actually is. And I think he'll work well in this team. So it's exciting. But Kev, are you excited for Sabitzer?
I am. I was just going to say, I'll tell you one person that hasn't seen him play, Paul Merson, because at any time, nobody is. Sorry if there's any kids watching.
Ricky texted me about that the other day, didn't you?
Anyone we sign, this anti-United agenda just comes out and straight away he's in there. And fair enough in the past, the way United's been run. I know we signed Maro and Fellaini on, deadline day in the last minute of the window, and then we were spoon-fed this thing that Fellaini was the man we wanted all along. Yeah. And you were like, well, why have you left it until the last minute of the window? Clearly a panic buy. But Paul Merson carrying on, that it's a panic buy. He's not even good enough to get in the Bayern Munich team, which, let's not beat around the bush, man, is a very good team. European elect or whatever, could go out and win the Champions League this year, win the Bundesliga every year. And I think, Paul Merson, man, what is he on about? What has he seen him play? Is he just reacting to that to say it's a panic buy? What have Arsenal just gone out and done? Signed Jorginho.
I mean,
was he a Chelsea first team player?
According to the pundits, Martinez is too short to be a centre back in the Premier League. Casemiro's just a steady Eddie. He's not a world class player.
Yeah.
Crazy, I wouldn't take too much notice. That's what
that's exactly what I was going to say. They would have said, who's Malacia? What level has he played in? They would have said, Varane declining, Casemiro declining. Well, if these people are declining, then how come we're sitting comfortably in top four? How come we're in cup final? It's not just because a player isn't playing in the club that you think is great that they're a bad player. It's because maybe something going on with the manager. Look, Cancelo's left from Man City. Is Cancelo a bad player? No, he isn't at all. So this thing about people just thinking, oh, he doesn't get into a team, stop that. He gets into Manchester United, and Manchester United are in a good way right now, and that's the most important thing. If and when we have the budget and the new owners, if and when they come, we will look at a different phase.
It's an absolute no-brainer. This signing, absolute no-brainer, because Erik Ten Hag wanted to sign him on a permanent deal. We've now got him on loan with a view to buying him in the summer, but he gets to test him out now. It's like taking him for a test drive if he likes the goods, and he's happy at Old Trafford in the summer if they can come to a deal. If not, and it doesn't work out, see you later, mate. You go back.
Additionally, actually, that opens up a conversation for a new formation for Ten Hag, which I wanted to introduce as well, a 4-2-3-1, because you can have a player like Casemiro sat next to Sabitzer. And Sabitzer's one thing really good is that, just like Casemiro, he's able to intercept the ball really well. He reads passes from the opposition player and cuts it out so quick. And that actually takes away a lot of pressure from Casemiro, because what do we see Casemiro saying? Oh, he's in the right spot at the right time. But that takes a lot of effort and energy to do that in the game. What you'll see now is the way Casemiro was when he played with Kroos and Modric. You'll see him having another person next to him who he can rely on quite a bit.
That's what Michael Carrick was quality.
Yeah, what that opens up in a 4-2-3-1, it could open up a Val and a Martial behind him. It could open so many possibilities. It could open up Sancho on the right. It could open up Bruno on the right. Loads of opportunity with a player like such, because he doesn't just bring you a defensive side like McTominay and an attacking side like Fred. He brings you best of both worlds.
Yeah, and Casemiro makes that look so easy as well. And obviously Eriksen's a brilliant player, but sometimes he does lack that defensive kind of work that Casemiro covers for so brilliantly. So it'll be good to see him come into the squad. When Paul Merson did say that, I felt like saying, we've just figured out that Eriksen's injured within like the last 48 hours of the transfer window. Do you want us to go and sign a Jude Bellingham, Frankie de Jong in the last 48 hours, or do you want us to just rather stay with nothing, calling it a panic buy? I thought,
it's not panicking, it's
what
just reacting.
was
It's
left on the
reacting to a
market,
situation. You know, that bad news that Eriksen's out till April. It's not like, oh, we need to get someone in, just anyone in. This is obviously somebody Erik ten Hag knew he could get. He knows him. Like I said earlier, he wanted to actually sign him. And the fact that we've actually managed to pull it off, it's a great bit of business. It's an absolute no-brainer.
Also, he's not a Dutch player.
No.
So stop all of this, his talent ID and this, that he only signs Dutch players. He's not. So stop it. It's a good signing. And if you don't like it, cry more. I recommend Johnson Baby Wipes.
I honestly, when I saw it, I was like, I couldn't believe that we'd actually done that, because for me, it could be one of the best panic signings ever. For what we need for the next 6 months for the season, it's brilliant. But yeah, I'm excited to see him come in and play. But Ricky, obviously, Adam was getting a bit of stick today in his road trip video for saying that we can do the treble. And by the treble, he meant a treble of trophies, as in the Carabao Cup, the league, the Carabao Cup, the FA Cup, and the Europa League. What are your thoughts on his prediction that we could do that? Are you confident, fairly confident? I know you don't like to get your hopes up, do you, really?
No, I don't like to jump the gun, so to speak. We've got a really, really tough game at Wembley to start with against Newcastle. Virtually nobody can beat them. Virtually nobody can score a goal against them. So that's a really, really tough game. Make no mistake about that. Barcelona, they're on the up. So that's a really, it wouldn't surprise me one bit if we're only in the FA Cup before you know it. So, there's a long way to go to start talking about trebles. A long way to go.
The one thing
there's the mood kill. Let's wrap it up. Let's go.
The one thing I will say, because obviously we're at Wembley, if you didn't know, we're at Wembley. The one thing I would say, the opponents we're playing at Wembley, they're not a walkover. It's tough. And if we win that Carabao Cup, it'll be very well deserved. Newcastle have the best defence in Europe at the moment, genuinely in Europe, the most clean sheets in Europe. And our defence has been good, but their defence has been brilliant. I mean, when they came to Old Trafford, obviously, I think it was quite an even game. They should have had a penalty. We should have a penalty. I do think we should have ended up winning that game, to be honest with you, But again, tight, edgy game. I mean, Kev, all I'm thinking is Newcastle have so many draws. They keep clean sheets. They're defensively solid. I'm worried if this goes to penalties, we're not the favourites to win this on penalties. They've got Nick Pope, who's an outstanding penalty goalkeeper, and we've got De Gea, who's notoriously not maybe as good at them penalties, and we don't really have that keeper that's that penalty shot stopper. So we've got to win this in 90 minutes or extra time, really. But talking about the opposition, we've got Newcastle. Do you think we can? Are you confident that we can beat them?
I was until I just listened to you, and now I'm getting all panicky and all worried. I'm like, and Ricky's telling me nobody scores against them, and it's a one-off game, isn't it? I like to always think that Newcastle are the kind of team that they did the hard work back in, what was it, 99? Is that the last time they actually played at Wembley?
Was it?
I'm sure, well, in a major cup final anyway, was when we beat them in the treble season.
Yeah.
And they never even turned up that day. United were good, but we absolutely obliterated them. They've never got anywhere near us. Yes, that was a long time ago. These are different teams now. But I look at it, and Newcastle, if you listen to a lot of Newcastle fans, it's almost name on the trophy. They're going down that kind of Scouse thing of it's our year and all this, We'll have a massive say in this. We will have a massive say. And I trust the manager. I know he'll have a game plan. He'll go there. He's certainly not going to play for penalties or anything like that. It's certainly not going to go down that route. There'll be a structured game plan. And I think man for man, why not? We can do it. We can do it. Come on, that's the rally cry.
I saw it before, and I think Newcastle have a week off before that final.
Yeah.
We have a game at home against Barca, second leg on the Thursday night, and then have to travel down to London for the Sunday final. The odds aren't really in the favour, but I still back us to win. I think Erik ten Hag is a great manager that's going to pull some out of the bag. But Faz, do you start to think now, FA Cup, Carabao Cup, game after game after game, is it going to be full strength each time? Do you think do we need to rotate in certain competitions, or do you expect full strength Barcelona on the Thursday, full strength Cup in the final?
There is no stopping now. they put the vehicle in cruise control and let's go. There is no, go on the right lane and and just go for it. We can't be rotating and dilly-dallying about. We need to secure our top 4. On top of that, Barca twice. The good thing is we play them second leg at home. That's the kind of, it's in our favour. That's the only bit of favour that we have. But the way, they've just stitched us up with the fixtures anyway, so we can't complain about that. Ten Hag will want his men. One thing for sure is be ready for every single game. You saw Harry Maguire play before, but then this game you saw Martinez and Varane. He's going to constantly, top up players to make sure they're sharp and they're ready. That's the more. You might see Harry Maguire actually feature in the Leeds game, for example, for him to be again sharp and ready, because you never know what can happen. But going into the cup final, I have 2 concerns. One is how quickly can he get Sabitzer ready and integrated into the team, and the other one is Dalot. I actually need Dalot back, because as much as Bissaka's been outstanding and really, really good, I'm really impressed, competition is still needed for position. There's no denying it. A player cannot see it through all the way until then. I need Dalot back, and on top of that, I don't just need him back, I need him match fit, and I need him back in rhythm as well. So hopefully if we have those things checked out by then we should be okay.
Yeah, Dalot's one of them where we've not really had an update on when or how long he's going to be out for. He came back and then injured, and Ten Hag's not really spoke about it, but hopefully it will be soon, because I agree that Wan-Bissaka's doing well, but we need them competition for places. By Lipsy has just said, not going to lie, Isaac looks like such a talent. He's scary. Yeah, do you know what? Newcastle have some very good players and made some good signings. Eddie Howe is managing them brilliantly, I have to say. And to be honest, Newcastle are a kind of team that they are that type of team. They are a big club. They should be doing well. And I want a final where it's competition. I want to win against a good team. So it'll be a good match. And and I can tell you one thing, it won't be a walkover from any side. It's going to be a very edgy game. So I'm excited about that. But Kev, looking forward to the Palace game. That free kick was just so unfortunate. We were watching it together, weren't we, when it went in? Charlie actually said, there's no way on earth he's scoring this free kick. And then a second later, it went in. But
Charlie, keep your mouth shut
we've got
the free kicks.
We've got to take these cup wins and kind of put them into the league, because, Chelsea, what they've been spending, this top 4 is still, it's not confirmed yet. We've got to put it in there. But are you confident that we can go on that winning run now?
I am very confident. I don't really care what Chelsea are at. Let them do whatever they want to do. You can sign a hell of a lot of players. It's hard to integrate them. We've got the core sort of team at Manchester United, and they are performing on a weekly basis. Yeah. I take great delight coming on here every single game and saying how great Casemiro is, how great Varane is, how brilliant Martinez is. It's refreshing, rather than coming on. Well, he's been all right. There's, compared to back in the day when we were coming on here and maybe looking at that midfield of McTominay and Fred and saying, why is he not mixing up? Why is he not changing it? It's very refreshing to have a great spine to the team. And apart from a kind of striker and that, and I've got not much to complain about at the minute. I really haven't. And I think the key word is, I think we've all mentioned it at one stage tonight, is momentum. I think he will stay with that. And looking ahead to the Palace game, yes, you would expect the likes of Rashford and that to come back in, but that core team of Casemiro and that, I'm keeping my fingers crossed, because we spoke about the cup final before. The one thing that could hamper us in that is injuries. We've already lost Eriksen. By God, touch wood, we do not want to lose Casemiro as well in the middle of the park, or somebody of a Varane, because for me, Harry Maguire is not a backup, to Varane. Well,
on that point, one thing I did want to actually bring up is I thought the difference when Varane and Casemiro came off was stark in the way that we kind of travelled with the ball. We got it from the defence through the midfield into the attack. The fluidity just wasn't there at all. Ricky, is that something you noticed when obviously Lindelof and Maguire came on? I think Varane, Martinez have such a good relationship. They're on the same wavelength, and then Casemiro in front of that is so good at picking out passes, getting the ball, pinging it across the pitch. It just doesn't have the same kind of touch to it, does it? So it's important that these players stay fit.
It's important that they stay fit. It's important that lots of the players stay fit, because we've already got 1 or 2 injuries, haven't we? So yeah, but without a doubt, you can see the difference. The passing from Varane and the passing from I know Martinez stayed on, but the passing from Martinez, it's really cute, and we moved the ball around. We moved the ball around well when we've got Varane and Martinez. Casemiro just in front, so it's important that they stay fit without a doubt.
Yeah. When I don't know who it was, but when they followed through on Varane, and I think he ended up getting a yellow card, and I was really worried. I was like, no, not Varane, and then Martinez started giving it the big and protecting his player. I quite like that though. But yeah, everyone seems intact right now, which is important. But Ricky, I mean, Sancho, do you see him getting more minutes in the Palace game?
Yeah, I do. Whether if we happen to be winning it or winning it comfortably, he'll probably get a good amount of minutes. But if we actually need a goal, he's the type of player worth bringing on. So however the game's going, he might not get so long. If it's still 0-0 with 15 or 10 minutes to go, he'll probably bring him on. So whether it's going well or not, I think he'll get some minutes. Yeah.
Would you start Martial against Palace?
I don't know what his fitness level's like. We do need him to stay fit. We want him to be fit. He's another player. I do think if we are virtually at full strength, I never take teams lightly. I never ever take teams lightly. But I would hope at Old Trafford against Palace we could take the lead without Martial playing and maybe give him another 20 minutes. Or if it's not going well, give him 30, 35 minutes. So it's up to the manager how he thinks, if he thinks he's fit enough to start.
It's all about building him up
it's
now,
all about
isn't
building
it?
him up.
Yeah,
You could build him up by giving him half an hour a game for the next 3 games.
Yeah, I think that's the more likely option. I don't think there's no need to rush him back into the starting 11. Absolutely not. I think it's important that we get him back fit again. But before we kind of move on to the games coming up and what we think we can get out of them, just to kind of round up the show, I think we'll get the man of the matches. I think I can guess a few of them, but we'll get the man of the matches just so we have them. Faz, we'll come to you.
I'm going to give it to Bruno Fernandes, yeah.
Bruno Fernandes. Everyone in the chat getting your man of the match as well down below, because we'll see what the kind of consensus is on this. Kev?
I love this, man. I could go for a multitude of players, seriously. I thought Varane was class, Martinez. I thought Casemiro just does his usual, 8 out of 10 every game. His standards are so high, it's brilliant. But yeah, I have to go with Bruno Fernandes. One of the best games I've seen. The pass for Rashford, who taps it across to Fred, who scores with his knee at the Stretford end, which is one for the old scrapbook, innit? Fred scoring with his knee. But the pass from Bruno, when you see it again, outside of the boot, back post, different gravy, as Ricky would say.
Rick?
I'm not going to say that he's had his best game that he's ever had for us and then not give him man of the match.
I think this is the first time ever on earth you've given Bruno man of the match.
I've never seen him play so well. If he was a brand new player tonight and I'd never seen him before, I'd be going, wow, where have we got him from?
Do you know what?
It could be because he didn't have much pressure.
This just shows as well, I think, that obviously people say all the time, agendas. People don't have agendas, they just have opinions on how they like players to play football, and we all want every player to do well.
Can I just say, Bruno played tonight like I want him to play. It's as simple as that.
Hopefully
normally there's too many long balls, too many difficult balls, too many fancy flicks.
If Ricky had an agenda against Bruno Fernandes, this would have been the time when he come out and said Bruno was rubbish tonight.
Yeah.
Get him off, sell him, and then you go, right, Ricky, now you're really taking the...
No, yeah, it's a clean sweep with Bruno, and everyone in the chat saying Bruno as well. He was brilliant. We do have to say, and I like to see it because he's one of my favourite players. And someone just asked, he assumed Jordan can't make it because he's in Wales. Jordan will actually be over for the Leeds game, so get ready for that. I'm excited to have him in the studio. So we will be getting people in, trying to get people in as much as possible. But yeah, I mean, with the few games that we've got coming up this month, I think we've got Leicester, we've got Palace, we've got Leeds, Barcelona, and then we've got the Cup final as well. We've got quite a few games going this month.
We've got Leeds twice, haven't we?
Yeah, we've got Leeds.
When have we got Leicester? I don't recall us having Leicester.
I'm just going to have a little look now. I saw someone put it in the
Leeds
chat.
is definitely back-to-back, isn't it? Which is a strange one, isn't it, when you look at it? But
let me have a look right now, get the games up. Yeah, Leicester is on the agenda, Ricky. Right. So we've got Palace, Leeds, Barca, Leicester, Barca, and then the final. So many games coming up in February. But when
they're nearly all home games again, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yep, all home games apart from Leeds and Barca away.
When we had that long run of 10 wins, at least 7 of them were home games by my rating. It looks like we could do the same again.
From what I've seen this season, I do have to say, at home we look very comfortable. We look strong at home. Away, the scoring doesn't seem to be there as much. I mean, Forest was great, but at home we do look like the comfortable wins. I mean, Faz, I'll start with you. You see that you've got Palace, Leeds, and then you've got Leicester at home as well in the league. You would think that they're all 3 points, wouldn't you?
Yeah, it should be, in essence. Leeds have strengthened their squad a little bit, but I still think we have enough players who are fit and ready now, considering Anthony Martial and Sancho are back. We should be looking to win all of them, in all honesty. I don't see us drawing or losing any. We've only got one away. The rest of them at home, and Old Trafford has been like a fortress this season. So I would expect, and hopefully we can see Sabitzer in there as well, which will add more quality. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Kev, you've got Barca at home. Barca away on the 16th. Then you've got just on the 19th after that, Leicester at home, and then again Barca at home. A few days later. It's a crazy schedule. Out of them games, do you see any game where you think there's more rotation? Because I look at Leicester at home and I think maybe, but then the league's so important. But then you've also got the cup final coming up. It's Barcelona, you want to beat them. Do you think Erik ten Hag's going to be prioritising anything?
It totally depends on how that first leg goes, doesn't it? You'd like to think we wouldn't be out of it in the first leg, but let's just say we have an awful night, which hopefully we don't. But if we did have a result like that, then obviously all the attention sort of turns to that Leicester game, doesn't it? Ten Hag's thinking about this rotation, whereas let's say we go to the Camp Nou, draw that, or if there's a goal in it, you know, the second leg is set up perfectly. And as Faz rightly said before, it's at Old Trafford, which makes it more interesting. You'd fancy the home crowd behind you. If you're still in that game, then yeah, it's a great headache to have that, because will Ten Hag do what he seems to have done most of the season and stick with this nucleus of the team where he's like, I'm sticking with, you know, the team that I trust. Maybe just make a couple of, you know, changes to the team for the Leicester game, knowing that you've got the Barca game coming up then again.
I do have a bone to pick with Ten Hag though.
Go on, what's your bone?
Why did he not give Kobe Mino any minutes? I'd like you're bringing the youth players in for them to sit there and watch the game. Like in a game where you're winning 1-0, or you're bringing strong players
5-0
on.
5-0 in aggregate, we were winning.
You need to be bringing on Kobe.
Rick, you want to come on in that one?
You can only play 11. You can only make 5 subs. Because I always say that you can only play 11. You can only play 11. So people sometimes say, why isn't this player, why isn't that player playing? And then when it comes to substitutions, obviously it's a valid point. You know, you want to give your youngsters a chance, but you also are going to have some tough games coming up where you're more likely to need your more experienced players, and you also want them to have some minutes in your legs. So you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. So you know, he gave Lindelof, what did he give him, 10 or 15 minutes in midfield, which is a rare thing for Lindelof to play in midfield. And it might give you an inkling there, because we are short in midfield at the moment, that if we were, let's just say, for example, away to Barcelona and somebody's injured, say Casemiro's injured, you might find Lindelof plays in that position. I think he's more likely to play there than Minu, however you pronounce his name. Manu. So, he, like I say, he's damned if he does and he's damned if he doesn't. He needs to give the kid minutes, but he also needs to give the other players minutes. You can't play everybody.
And just being involved with the first team as well is a big thing, isn't it? It's part of their education. I know he might be disappointed he's not had minutes and the game time that he wants, but just to be kind of training with that first team, even though he's at Old Trafford tonight, sat on the bench, he might have warmed up.
That's another great point, Kev.
It is, because you
kid,
can give him a lot too much these days as well.
The young kid will be thrilled that he's actually sat on the bench.
If he's got anything about him, he should be buzzing off that.
And as well, it's like you did give him a start in the FA Cup. Do you remember that? So I think there is room there for development for sure. But Erik ten Hag, he's not going to take any risks, and he's not going to throw a player in. And
it's about managing the player.
I don't think it would have been a risk, Beth. I mean, it was 5-0 at the time.
No,
it wouldn't have been a risk in that manner.
No, not a risk
in that manner. But he needs to give the other players game time just like that.
Well, this is what I mean. Like you said, 5 subs there. Not playing Lindelof and then playing Manu is... Lindelof's going to be sat there thinking...
Yeah, but Lindelof just played last game.
He's more senior player, isn't he?
He just played last game.
I know, but what if he needs Lindelof to cover CDM. Scott McTominay's not out. He's out at the moment. Do you know what I mean?
No, when you're winning with that much goals, you need to be given a.
But
if you're a youth player sat on the bench,
it's giving Lindelof that experience at CDM if he needs him there.
I'm not arguing one way or the other, Faz. I'm just pointing out that there's horses for courses and there's different reasons for giving different players a game. I'm not saying he was right or he was wrong. I'm just saying that they all need game
like
time.
Some big games coming up. That's maybe why he's like you say. You might be thinking if this player gets injured, it's a hell of an ask to ask a young kid like that to come in against Leeds or a big game.
Yeah, someone who I thought would be disappointed to not come on was Palestra. He's had some good cameos. He's looked good, and then soon as Sancho's back, he doesn't get any time off the bench. I think that's harsh, personally. I thought he should have got something, but then you said, who are you going to drop out? You're not going to bring Sancho back. I think Rashford didn't have to come on, if I'm being honest, in this game. But then again, he wants to keep the momentum going. It's hard, but it's good that you're wanting players to come on and play. It shows that you've got some depth there, at least. So
I think he was trying something out today by bringing Sancho, Martial, and Rashford on. It's like when Formula One cars try their tyres on before the race. That's what he's doing. The race is going to be on in terms of Europa, Cups, League.
Massive games coming up.
So he's just testing out his tactic. And like I said, Sancho in the 10, he's probably thought, what better game to try this with absolute zilch pressure than this game? And if they can give me a goal or have any input towards a good attack, then I want to see that. So from that aspect, I give him credit, 100%.
Yeah, and one thing I actually did want to bring up is I thought Heaton had a good game today.
Yeah.
I thought a solid keeper performance. I thought he did everything right. He was coming off his line. His passing was decent. I was happy with him. Again, people were thinking Butland was going to start. Ten Hag stays loyal to Heaton, who's played in the cup previously. I like it. It's nice and it's how it should be. But Ricky,
made some good saves.
Yeah, made some good saves that needed to be made. But
I prefer De Gea, if I'm being honest.
Well, yeah.
He did all right.
We prefer.
He did his job. He's doing his job.
I think it's nice when players come in to give him a bit of credit for having a good game. But I mean, Ricky, I'll ask you on this: Palace, Leeds, Barca, Leicester, Barca. Out of them games, think a clean sweep. Maybe don't include Barca in there.
I think more like a manager would think, Beth, and I'll take it one game at a time. So let's see if we can get 3 points against Palace first.
3 points against Palace. Are you confident we can?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that just about rounds it up, guys. I think it's really excited to be at Wembley. Really excited to be playing Newcastle in the final. You going, Rick? You'll be there?
I'm going, and I just wanted to mention something that you said before and Faz said as well, that you think we've got enough to win. We have got enough to win. But Newcastle fans will be thinking exactly the same. And if you look at the league table, I think you'll see that we're on the same points from the same games. It's such a difficult one to call. It's as simple as this. United fans think United are going to win. Newcastle think Newcastle are going to win. And nobody can tell you.
You couldn't have written a better.
That's how a cup final should be, shouldn't it? Really?
Sign him up. No, honestly, I'm nervous it'll be a draw, because if it's a draw, then I don't think we're in good position.
If you was to ask me now to predict it, I'll say it'll be, because nobody scores against Newcastle. No, virtually nobody scores it. I hope I'm wrong. My prediction is a 0-0 draw and Newcastle to win on pens.
Oh God, I hope you're wrong,
Ricky, why would you say that? Why would you say that to me right now? And I just said I'm worried about pens. I just said my prediction is.
I used to like it. I'll be honest.
My prediction is an 89th minute winner from United.
That'll do.
That'll do.
I'll take that.
Good. We'd be out all night, wouldn't we? It'd be like Spain part 2.
Yeah. Let's survive the tornado that Barcelona is first.
Yeah, that's the big one, isn't it?
That's a big tornado.
One thing with Sancho being back in the squad, I'll actually ask just before we round up. Say if you're looking ahead to that final against Newcastle, what would be your front three that you'd want to be starting? Fully fit front three that you'd want to be starting? Faz?
Whoa.
I'm just putting you on the spot.
For a fully fit front three in a cup final. Yeah, has to be Rashford, has to be Martial, has to be Anthony, Bruno, Casemiro. Yeah, so I wouldn't start Sancho though. I wouldn't start Sancho.
Kev?
Rashford, Martial up top, and God, what a great question this is.
I'm glad I'm not tonight.
Think about that. It really,
I think
really
Martial
is.
and Rashford everyone can agree with. Rick? Nope. Oh, God. I've started this off right at the end of the show.
Yeah.
You wouldn't play Rashford in the final against Newcastle.
It's going to be a proper hard game. We're going to have to be right on our mettle. Trippier is a really, really dangerous player. And I would play Martial on the left and Weghorst at number 9.
Martial.
And who would you play on the right?
That's a tough one. He's not doing bad, Anthony, at the minute, but if Sancho gets minutes under his belt and enough minutes and maybe a couple of starts, probably Sancho. I'd probably go Sancho, Weghorst and Martial.
Do you know what, Ricky? I think you're the only United fan on this planet that wouldn't play Rashford in that final, Kev.
Yeah.
Oh, Rashford's starting.
You've got to give me the final player.
I'm not saying.
Well, as long as he continues his good form,
I'm saying what I'd do.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. It's a democracy, Ricky.
Ricky's playing Weghorst over most goals in Europe after the World Cup, Rashford. And you know what? That just sums him up. But last super chat from David Harvey. 1-0 win in the final. Bruno to get the winner. Ricky, the chat is going absolutely mental right now. You've ended it on
I think he's done the reverse jinx. So we've all said something and he's just done the reverse jinx.
Let me put it this way, if Marcus plays against Trippier that day, there's as much chance of Trippier creating the winning goal as there is of Marcus scoring the winning goal.
Do you remember when you told me in that Wolves game, I bet when Traore and Rashford are coming on, I bet you Traore does more than Rashford, Beth, and Rashford scored the winner.
Correct.
So he's not always right. Anyway, he won't be right on the final, I can assure you guys, but maybe you will, hopefully. We'll see. He'll come back to this clip if I'm not, I can assure you that. But look, guys, thank you for joining the chat. I mean, Man United are in a final. It's the first time in a while. Everyone's hopes are up that we can win this final and when we can get a cup in the trophy cabinet again for the first time in a very long time. Erik ten Hag is going to do it. I've got confidence. But Faz, Kev and Ricky, thank you so much for being on the show. And games are coming quick and fast. We've got Palace on Saturday and we'll be in the studio again doing the Palace game. And hopefully it'll be another 3 points on the board for Erik ten Hag. But look, thanks for all the chats today, guys. The chat's still going wild about Ricky. Get your thumbs up on as well. We've still got just over 9,000 watching. It was over 10,000 at some points. Great turnout tonight. Wembley is on. First trophy in the treble, as Adam would say. The poor man's treble is on. But thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you on the next one. Have a good night.